What's up, guys? So we have the DATAMINED every legendary ability that we can add into the game. So let's go ahead and start off by just going through all of these. I'm going to start off with this as part one, going to be the generic, as in any class should be able to use these, but some classes may benefit off of these a little bit more. But I'm going to go ahead and make this a part series where if we're looking for the rogue, barbarian, sorceress, those specific ones, I'm going to go ahead and dedicate video towards them because each class has so many. Let's go ahead and start off with video one of the generic ones. Keep in mind, just as a heads up, these are DATAMINED, things that are subject to change, and these are a little bit kind of difficult to read, but I'm going to go ahead and go over all the abilities and let's talk about some of the best ones. So, starting right off, legendary mods. So we have accelerating. Critical strikes with skills increase your attack speed by some sort of a value. Next up, we have exploiters. It says you can have increased crowd control duration and deal increased damage to unstoppable enemies. Next up, we have Starlight. It says gain value of your primary resource for every % of life that you heal. Next up, of Might over here, we have skills grant some sort of a damage reduction for X amount of seconds. This is basic skills over here, so your generators, so to speak. Next up, we have of the Protector. It says damaging an elite enemy grants you a barrier absorbing some sort of amount of damage for X amount of seconds. It can only happen once every, I believe this is 30 seconds. This one I actually did have in the beta. Keep in mind, the beta numbers can change. The DATAMINED numbers can change as well. But next up, we have of Intercom. It says deal increased damage for each second you stand still up to, I believe this one was 30%. I actually had this item. Next up, though, we have Wind Striker. It says critical strikes grant movement speed for X amount of seconds up to some sort of value for seconds. So you get increased movement speed for a set duration. Next up, we have of the Umbral. It says restore value of your primary resource when you crowd control an enemy. This could actually be one of the better ones in the game for sure, especially if you have any ability that automatically crowd controls. Next up, we have deal increased damage while you have a barrier active. Okay, this one's actually one of the better ones as well. If you're playing sorceress, highly check out Conceited. This is a really good one. I'd say it's definitely one of the best ones in the game, in fact, for a lot of different builds. Next up, though, we have Protecting. It says when hit while not healthy, which is healthy in the game is coded for 90%, a magical bubble is summoned around you for a certain amount of time. While standing in the bubble, players are immune, which means you can't take any damage or be affected by any negative effects. It can occur only once. I believe this is 60 or 90 seconds. This is Vigo's amulet. If you guys have played the beta, that's, I believe, the same one that drops every single time from Vigo. Next up, we have Disobedience. It says you gain increased armor static value seconds when you deal any form of damage stacking up to certain value. This is actually one of the best ones in the beta. A lot of people were running this one. I think this is one of the better ones in the game as well. Next up, we have of Retribution. Enemies have a value chance to be stunned for a certain duration. Seconds when they hit you, you deal increased damage to stunned enemies. Okay. Next up, we have rapid skills gain. Basic skills gain increased attack speed. This is actually really good for the rogue as you are trying to build up your combo points. One of the better ones for sure in the game. And also a lot of basic skills will apply vulnerability, so a lot of builds can make use out of it. But definitely the rogue sticks out for that ability. Next up, we have the Edge Masters. It says skills deal up to random affix value, increased damage based on your available primary resource when cast, receiving the maximum benefit while you have full primary resource. So any build that wants to focus in on basic attacks, or if you want to do certain abilities that are going to require resource. Now, I'm wondering if you spend resource, because it says when cast. So certain things like Bone Spirit could do an insane amount of damage with Edge Master. So if you're looking for those one shot, you want to try to upload on YouTube, like I'm dealing 1,000,000 damage, this is probably your go-to, probably one of the best ones, especially if you're doing big damage for like Necromancer on Bone Spirit. Next up, though, or if you're just actually interested in equipping a bunch of topazes and just spamming basic attacks, because it's just all skills. It doesn't say, like, core skills. So if that's how it works, that could be pretty dang good for just people that just want to do basic attacks. Next up, we have of the Crowded Sage. It says you heal for a flat amount of life per second for each close enemy up to a certain number. And keep in mind, I'm guessing some of these may scale later down the line with the game, as some of the values were like, I don't know, like 4 and 7, I think is what I saw. When some people were trying to do full AFK Thorns build in the beta, I noticed a lot of people were trying out this, and that's because if you're doing a full AFK build, yeah, you want to be able to fully AFK. So this could be good for some Thorns build. Next up, though, we have of the Expectant. It says, attacking enemies with a basic skill increases the damage of your next skill cast. That's a core skill. So basically, you use your generators and then you spin them. Again, this one's going to be better for Rogue than anyone because they really benefit off of using basic attacks. I know there are some players out there, especially Necromancers, that are doing like Blood Mist build, which they don't really need a basic attack at all. But for Rogue in general, this one's going to be pretty dang powerful. Next up, though, we have Ghost Walker. It says, while unstoppable and for some sort of static value, after you gain random affix value, increased movement speed, and can move freely through enemies. I'm not sure if that one's going to be super important, but maybe someone will figure out a use for it. Next up, we have of Shared Misery. It says when you hit a crowd control enemy, there is up to a chance for that crowd control enemies to spread to another affected enemy. So this could be actually pretty good. There's one where you gain resource based off of if you crowd control enemies, so maybe this would even make things faster for getting extra resource. Next up, we have Eluding. It says becoming injured while crowd controlled grants you unstoppable for some sort of duration. It says this effect has a something second cooldown. Okay, that could be pretty dang nice to be able to just get unstoppable. Next up, that we have Assimilation. It says you have increased dodge chance versus enemies affected by damage over time effects. When you dodge, you gain a set amount of primary resource. This was technically also in the beta. I saw some people using this. It's a really good thing to actually have. Next up, we have Needle Flare. It says Thorns has a random value, I guess, affix value, chance to deal damage to all enemies around you. I believe you get this up to like a 40%. It's actually pretty big. If you're looking to build Thorns, Needle Flare is definitely going to be one of the best in slot for a legendary power. Next up, though, we have of the Deflecting Barrier. It says while you have barrier active, there is a chance to ignore incoming damage, direct damage from distant enemies. So I guess projectiles have a chance to not take any damage. That's pretty decent. Next up, we have Smitting. Over here, it says you have some sort of value increased critical strike chance against injured enemies, so that's under 35% HP, while you are healthy, which is above 90%. You gain increased crowd control duration. Okay, so that one, I mean, you can, some of these you can throw them on any build. Some of them, obviously, like Thorns, you're going to have to require Thorns. Now, this one just covered the generic ones. There's going to be a lot more. I'm going to try to separate these in parts because someone that's maybe watching the Barbarian Legendaries may not care about the Rogue one. So I'm going to go ahead and have this video serve as like the introduction part 1, which goes over all of the generic ones. We're going to cover Rogue, Barbarian, Sorcerer. We're going to cover every single class, and I'm going to dedicate a video for every single one of those. So if you'd like to see those, and you are brand new here, make sure you guys are subbed with the bell notification on, and you'll see them uploaded very, very soon. And check out the pinned comment. There's a video that we just went over that went over all of the unique items, which are actually going to be arguably the most powerful items in the game. But check out that video. It'll be pinned down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.